You have to grow as a leader. Leadership is not a position. Leader is really a character thing.
Yeah.
How you make your customers or your clients feel beyond providing a professional service. What gives you the edge.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bizzin Podcast. With me, I have Christiaan Blignaut. Christiaan, thank you for being here. And so I loved this when last week we were at the Global Leadership Summit here in George, and you quickly spoke there about being innovating in an animal clinic, and I was just quite interested about that. And I mean, immediately that's why I jumped onto WhatsApp and I said I need to get you on the podcast. Right, so just maybe so you joined the George Animal Clinic on quite a young age and stepped into a leadership position. So just tell us about that journey and what you had to go through being a young partner in an animal clinic and how you had to adapt to that.
Yeah, thanks, Daisy. It's nice being back. I mean, it's a privilege and it's a challenge in itself. It was for me. It was a miracle getting the opportunity at that stage. Just a little bit of background. George Animal Hospital has been around for over 30 years, probably since just before my birth.
Sure.
And in that time, the partners have only basically the two partners that started, the founders, they've sold their shares in the practice, and the new group of partners are still there. So that's how little opportunity there actually is in the last 30 years to get in. And I just on the right time, I started working there. I just literally threw my CV out in the whole area, and I got the job. There wasn't the advertised position. I worked for a year, and then they told me, "Look, you're the oldest partner. He's thinking of retiring. If I fit in well, I can maybe buy in."
Sure.
And then I first bought in as a junior partner, so that was like 50% of a share. And then about a year later, as a full partner. So we three partners, and obviously I'm not the youngest one.
Yeah.
And it comes with challenges because at 27, you probably you don't have any experience. Okay, that's a fact. It doesn't matter how good you are or whatever. You don't have any experience, so it does put you in a situation where you have to learn, and you have to learn quickly. So for me, it's been a journey, and it still is to this day.
Wow, well done with regards to that as well, and being able to be a partner at that age, it's amazing. So maybe going into the industry, right? So for me, I mean, a vet, is a vet. You see it as a vet, right? So it can be very traditional in terms of that. So what did you do as a young partner to bring innovation into a company like that?
I think it's always funny. We always joke about what the public sees veterinary science as being, and what it actually is, and how many moving parts there is, and it's so vast and diverse. It's difficult to actually sum it up. But in a specific area where you can innovate quite a bit is probably in the area that most people are more aware of, and that's with small animals and pets, because you work with people owning pets, pet parents every single day, and that is where there's a lot of emotion involved and those things, and there's a lot of value attached to the animal. So that is the area where we probably innovative most of the time. When in other areas like in the food chain and health and hygiene and production animal work, it's more focused on doing the professional job and doing it right. Whereas with the small animals, because of the emotional factor, there's room for innovation. So that's probably where I can answer you.
So, I mean, you touched as well on a Global Leadership Summit where there was a video that you watched a couple of years ago, and it specifically made you change your perspective on how you start dealing with the customers and loving the people and everything. Maybe just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was Will Gadara, and he's got a book as well, Unreasonable Hospitality, and it just triggered me because I figured that he spoke a lot about how you make your customers or your clients feel,
Yeah.
and that relatability, and how you care for people, how that really makes you successful, and
Yeah.
beyond providing a professional service, what gives you the edge. And I started thinking about it, and yes, it was his context was hospitality in a restaurant business.
Yeah.
But I realized that we could implement that in a veterinary practice. We could,
Yes.
because in any business, you can make people feel cared for. So we started doing small things like we changed our receptionist area and the waiting room and the shop just to make it lighter, make it more welcoming. Because vets has a certain, I would say, there's a sort of stigma about going to the vet, and if
Yeah.
you enter the vet's practice, the smell you get and the fear in your animal's face. So that we wanted to change. And then something that's really special to me is we built a comfort room. So actually we expanded the practice. We built another wing onto the practice. And this comfort room is basically a room where people can say goodbye. So for those last
Sure.
special moments,
Wow.
if the pet needs to be euthanized, it's a nice, warm, private area where people can just be with their animals.
Yeah.
And we added things like candles and
Wow.
pillows and everything to make it comfortable.
Yeah.
And then there's a wall where we put the paw prints of the animals on, and we call it the
Yeah.
memory wall.
Sure.
So small things to make that
Yeah.
moment, because for us it's it might sound bad, but it's it's daily things that we have
Yeah.
to go through. But for that person, you remember when your dog was put down
Yes.
for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So that was important. And then we did other smaller things like bravery certificates for animals in hospital, blood donor certificates. And we started working on our social media. We trying to make it more intimate or more relatable. So you see our staff working, you can see the cases, things like that. So it's not just a marketing platform.
Yes.
Small things, home deliveries, especially for older people that can't pick up the heavy bags and transport the big burbull.
Sure.
So all those small things. Nothing major.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing major, but it's all the small things coming together. And then when you look a year ago to now, then it's a massive change. So, and that's amazing. And we need to, and that's where innovation comes. You need to adapt to the times as well, being able to change a little bit, changing here. But now, all of those that's being implemented comes from decision making, and it comes from you guys needing to sit either in a boardroom. So how do you get to a point, like, do you make decisions together? Is it you that's constantly improving yourself to bring new ideas to the table? How do you make that work in a partnership?
Yeah, I think there's in our case there's room. We give each other room to do what we're passionate about. And going back to what I said about veterinary science being so diverse, we all have different passions, and we kind of complement each other. So we divided up our responsibilities in a certain way as well. So maybe one of us would focus more on certain areas of the business than the other one would, and then we'll just throw our ideas and get the backing of the others if you have a new idea. So I think something like client service and the presentation of the practice and the sales, those things are something that's close to my heart. So I've been thinking a lot about that, trying to bring innovations in. It's something that's a passion, and luckily I get backing, so it makes it easy.
Yeah. And I mean, so about 2 years ago, there was a seminar at Fan Court, and the economist that spoke there said that the animal industry is actually one of the fastest growing industry to get into and everything. So why is that? Why does an industry like that grow so quickly?
Well, I guess there's probably various factors. I'm not sure which they refer to, but just from food production, probably just your wild your livestock production systems. Those things are expanding. The need for higher production, quicker turnover of production of food. That's probably one area. That's probably the main area.
Yeah.
But if I have to look at small animals specifically and pets, it's probably the fact that people are becoming more aware of animal welfare, and that emotional connection between people and pets have grown a lot, and people are a lot more aware
Yeah.
of the needs of pets. Growing up, I can remember, I mean, it felt like our dogs never got sick, but
Yeah.
we probably just never really checked, to be honest.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, they were fine, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's things that I think people are a lot more tuned into that, so that's probably one area where it is growing.
Yeah.
Besides from
Yeah.
the fact that I think the food chain is really
Sure. And I think a lot of people is actually attaching like a lot of emotional, there's a lot of emotional feelings attached to their animals, especially like if you're looking at, your dog or your cat. And there was also something we read that said, a lot of younger people that delays on having children replaces that like with their animal. And so then it's not just having, you get the best things for the dog, the best house, the best food, you make him go, like you take the dog to checkups and everything, and that's important. And it's important to attach value behind that as well, of how you look after the animal and the welfare of that, because there is a lot of animal abuse and everything as well in our country. So coming into an industry where you're dealing with animals, I mean, you have staff in your practice as well, and now coming in as a younger partner, how did you get to a point where you can have that leadership skills flow over to your staff, and having them respect you as a leader as well?
Yeah, we'll probably have to ask them to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it comes with time, eh? Initially, if you don't have an experience and you're young, it's difficult, and I often see young professionals in that position, and
Yeah.
I mean, myself, if I walk into a business or I'm looking for a service, if I see it's a 20-something-year-old, then immediately, those alarm signs go off, but really it's something that you grow into.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's something that you have to earn.
Yeah.
With experience comes with age, and sometimes it's incorrectly so unfair, because you get a lot of brilliant young people and
Yeah.
young professionals. But I think for me, with leadership, yeah, you kind of earn respect,
Yeah.
and you have to grow as a leader. Leadership is not it's not a position. So even if you get given a position as a owner of a practice, and you kind of the boss, that doesn't make you a leader. A leader
Yeah.
is really a character thing,
Yes.
and it's a relational thing.
Yes.
So it needs to grow over time.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it's something that you always continue to develop.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, and that is so important. It is something that needs to be constantly developed. And so, I mean, we touched a little bit on innovation and how you implement it into a business which primarily the public sees as a traditional business, but you brought innovation there, the way that you treat your customers, you adapted there. So looking at other young professionals that wants to enter an industry like that, and as you mentioned, I mean, it was something that you were blessed to enter that, because it's not really a position that opens up every single day. How do you encourage young people to be bold and take that step to move into a leadership position in their business, and to bring innovation there?
Yeah, I guess you kind of answered it already. It's, yeah, being bold. You just have to. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to just jump out of the boat and swim.
Yeah.
And there might be a learning curve to that. There probably will be, and you might get. Like we said in Afrikaans, the wind van voor. You will get
Yeah.
some resistance. So
Exactly.
it's just something that you have to make your mind up about what you want to achieve, and
Yeah.
if you think that you are up for it and you have a dream, then you're gonna have to just push for it.
Yeah.
I want to say fight for it, but Yeah, you have to really dig in, and believe in yourself.
Yes.
And sometimes it's going to take time for others to believe in you,
Yeah.
but you just have to keep on going, and
Yeah.
sometimes that takes time.
Yeah.
And yeah, and unfortunately, when you have these dreams and things, yeah, you might be lucky to have people that see your potential before you do. But otherwise, if it's in your heart, you're probably gonna have to convince and grow, and it
Yeah.
and it takes time. And I think people are these days are looking for instant success.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that doesn't come often.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Christiaan, thank you so much for being here and well done with what you're doing, and looking forward to see how the business keeps on growing with you in it and just your leadership skills that's going with that as well. Guys, thank you so much for being here with another Bizzin Podcast session. We look forward to the next one with Christiaan Blignaut.